It worked. Okay, so today's project, we got this Burl's black gum cookie, and we are going to attempt to make a round table by sticking one of these guys and then one of these guys together to make a complete round. Make a complete round and then fill the center with epoxy. First step is, though, we've got to get all of this bark off, which involves us just beating the living shit out of the edge to get it all off.
Beat it like your finger.
No rocket science to it. And then after we carefully remove the bark, we'll take a wire wheel and then clean it all up. So that's first step number one, is just getting all of this bark off, that way it's clean, and then way we can make it look good, get on the CNC, get it flat, and then hopefully get it glued up. So let's do that.
SpongeBob is like, we have technology. That's basically what we're doing.
Yeah, that's the good stuff.
Debarking this table is actually a long and tedious process. I believe it took JJ over 4 hours just to get all of the bark off, get the wire wheel on there, and make this thing look as good as it can for a first step. So definitely not the easiest thing to do in the world. And after debarking, this is our final result. It looks pretty good. Obviously, we need to do a little bit of sanding, but not too bad. Not too bad. Trying to decide what we're going to do. Now we need to square off these really, really bad edges. The whole point of squaring them off now is to make it, when we joint them, easier later. So let's get this done.
Yeah.
Now, after cutting the edges off of these two slabs, this is what we have. Now, obviously, the edge is not perfect, but that's what we're going to do here on the CNC machine. Stick it right there, yeah. There we go, get it. Now, some would say that using a CNC to join two pieces of wood is cheating, lazy, and inefficient. And to those people, I say, I don't care. I'm gonna go take a nap while this machine does its thing. So now that we have both slabs joined, we can now glue them up together. That way they are both stuck together indefinitely. Now that these two slabs are glued up, it's time to prep the bottom for epoxy. So I'm kind of cheating here a little bit. I'm using just some old cardboard instead of melamine like you're supposed to do, but whatever. We'll caulk the edges and put that cardboard down underneath, and it should create a nice tight seal so the epoxy doesn't leak everywhere, hopefully. Now, it's really important that this table is level when we pour. If it's not level, the epoxy is just going to go to one side or the other, and it possibly could leak worse than it probably already will. So it's really important that we level this to ensure that the epoxy is even when we pour this first coat. For this table, I'm opting for a black epoxy. It's classic, it's easy. Most customers would want a black epoxy on their table since this is actually going to be a pre-made table. But let's go ahead and mix it up. We have to make sure that all this is mixed thoroughly before we pour, that way it doesn't actually get all sticky and goopy. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of little pits on top of the wood. To get rid of these, the only thing we can actually do is fill them with epoxy. Now, I'm a big fan of filling with epoxy. Some other woodworkers would disagree, but this is my table, so we're just gonna fill all the little pits with black epoxy to match the center. we let this epoxy sit for a few days to harden up. That way the next step is just as easy. Now, clearly there's still a lot of pits that are there, but to get to them we need to sand it thoroughly. So now we've got 8 hours of sanding ahead of us, and it tastes absolutely awful.
Oh look, even more sanding. Now we're on 220 grit.
So after sanding from 60 grit all the way up to 220 grit, it is time to do the next step. So we're gonna make this wood pop a little bit and see what kind of color we've got. We're adding a little bit of mineral spirits just to see what kind of color we've got underneath all that dull nastiness. So let's take it all the way up to 320 and it will prep us for the next step. So the first layer of epoxy filled most of the gaps, not all of them, but most. So now all the teeny tiny little pits we need to fill with this instant CA glue. It's a really awesome product. We just simply set it in the crack and then use the activator to harden it, and we can immediately sand right after. And as you can see by the look in my face, this took over 8 hours to complete this table, so it's a long and tedious process.
And again, I forgot to finish filming the final steps of this, which includes sanding and polishing, because I know, I'm an idiot. But I think this table ended up really well. It looks super awesome, and it is for sale on my website, www.novakwoodworks.com.